This is Kerrigan & Company. A&B Burger in Beverly and A&B Kitchen and Bar in Boston are redefining guest expectations of a casual restaurant. Both A&B restaurant locations are focused on hospitality, creative menus, and delicious food and drinks. Now, I've been to both restaurants many times and loved everything I've tried. Get to A&B Burger on Cabot Street in Beverly or head across the street from our studio at the TD Garden to A&B Kitchen and Bar in Boston today and experience the A&B difference yourself. I promise you're going to love it. Hi, everybody. It's Kim Kerrigan. Coming up on Kerrigan & Company, a show of Olympic proportions. This is Kerrigan & Company.
Kerrigan & Company is here for you. Yes, Kerrigan & Company is here for you.
Welcome, everybody, to Kerrigan & Company. So glad you could be with us. Of course, brought to us by A&B Burger. We got a really special show this week, and I'm very, very excited about it. Of course, we're about 2 weeks away from the Summer Olympics, which will be held in Paris. And just 2 weeks ago, the darlings of the Olympics, the U.S. women's gymnastics team, they were chosen in Minneapolis. And it turns out that we have a former Olympian from right here in Massachusetts who was on that selection team and, in fact, is going to play a big part of getting that team to Paris and helping them along the way. With me right now is my executive producer. You guys have met him before, Dave Thompson. Dave, it's good to have you with me, my friend, today. You are with me because my pseudo co-host is away.
I'm your substitute co-host.
You are my substitute co-host.
Yes.
Yes. But we are going to be joined here in just a couple of minutes by Alicia Sacramone Quinn. Alicia grew up in Winchester. She was an Olympian in 2008 in Beijing. She was the captain of the gymnastics team then. She is a four-time world champion with 11 medals. So she's traveled the world and competed everywhere. And now she sits on this USA Gymnastics board. She's one of three. And she has worked with these athletes for the entire season in an effort to choose the team.
Yeah, she is incredibly impressive. You know, what she's accomplished is amazing. And we've been talking about the show for a couple of months now. Yeah. And you've been so excited to have her on. So we're like, let's not have a traditional co-host. Unfortunately, Alicia isn't local because she's getting ready to go to Paris. Right. So she's going to join us by Zoom. And I think what's really neat is you knew her way back when, before she started even doing gymnastics. So you want to share that?
Yeah, I sure will. I mean, she is the daughter of my hairdresser. So I have known Alicia since, she was, I don't know, I want to say she was maybe 4 or 5. And she was a late bloomer when it comes to gymnastics, which is really unusual. I mean, typically, I think these young women, and young men, for that matter, who are involved in gymnastics, that's at 3 years old, they start that kind of thing. And Alicia didn't start until she was 8. So that is amazing. She now lives in Florida. She has 4 children, her oldest 8, and her baby is under a year. And she married a former NFL football player, Brady Quinn. They met after her gymnastic life, I believe, and she married him in 2014. And he's 6'4", and she's 5'1". So
and it's a shame they're so unattractive that I can only imagine those poor children.
Those poor children, exactly. But both of them very busy in their lives, and it's just so great that I reached out to her and asked her if she would come on, and she immediately said, absolutely, I would love to. Yeah. So very excited about Alicia joining us. We're going to get the inside scoop on what it's like to be, first off, this kind of high-level athlete, and then moving right into what this team is all about and what she anticipates is going to happen. So
I think gymnastics are one of the best parts of the Summer Olympics. You don't think about gymnastics, at least I don't, on a regular basis. But then Summer Olympics come, and I say, ounce for ounce, those gymnasts, male and female, are the strongest people on the planet.
They really are.
You watch them do what they do, and it's incredible.
Yeah. Well, I could remember when I was a kid, and I'd watch them, and I'd think, oh, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then I'd try to do one, somersault, and then I was done.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you see the guys hang by the rings, and I'm like, I can't even do a pull-up. It's really depressing, but it's also just inspiring.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, just so that you know, we have one other guest in this
Yes.
show, which is also very exciting. So there is a company that is actually in Philadelphia. They are making the leotards for this team, and they have just announced that this morning, what those designs look like, and they're going to show us the designs here on the show.
Yeah.
So we're going to get a chance to see those as well. So we've got the gymnastics show for you today, and there's a little bit of something for everybody to learn out of this. So be sure you stay with us. Thank you for sitting here with me and chatting with me. Thank you for taking care of me on a regular basis, Dave.
Someone's got to do it, you know.
We may as well just admit it.
It's going to be a great show.
All right, Alicia Sacramone Quinn coming up next right here on Kerrigan & Company. It's baseball season, so are you headed to Fenway anytime soon? If so, you've got to stop by the newest A&B Burger location at Time Out Market, Boston. You can get your favorite burgers at A&B's new quick serve restaurant, which is located at 401 Park Drive. Time Out Market Boston is located in the buzzing Fenway neighborhood, and A&B is the latest and the best restaurant to join this creatively curated dining destination. A trip to Fenway, whether you're headed to a game or maybe you just like the vibe in the area, isn't complete without stopping by A&B Burger at Time Out Market Boston. Head to A&B Burger at Time Out Market Boston's Fenway neighborhood today. You'll be glad you did. This segment of Kerrigan & Company is brought to you by Lucia Lighting and Design, where people in the know go for the best possible lighting and design experience. Welcome back, everybody, to Kerrigan & Company. Well, as we mentioned, a really special guest with us today, someone that I have known for a very long time. She is a former Olympian and is responsible for choosing the 2024 Olympic team. She's one of three who have chosen this team. I am thrilled to welcome a many-time world champion, and in fact, the fourth most decorated woman gymnast from the USA. This is Alicia Sacramone Quinn. And Alicia, it is great to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Kim. It's so good to see you. I know it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Not many of you know, Kim has literally known me since I was a baby. So we go way back.
Well, I had mentioned this already on the show, Alicia, but your mother and I have had a long-standing relationship. She is my hairdresser. She's threatening to retire, which I will not allow. So I'm going to have to chase her across the country if, in fact, she does so. But as I was talking about this at the beginning of the show, and you and I go back so far that, and interesting, it's interesting and a great part of where I want to start with you. We go back so far that you weren't really a gymnast when I first came to know you, because you did not really start to, and I'm going to call it tumble. You danced, but you didn't tumble till you were almost 8 years old.
Yeah, I had a relatively late start to gymnastics. Honestly, I tried other things, skating, tennis, just nothing was clicking. And my mom got so tired of me doing cartwheels everywhere, in a mall, in the backyard. She's like, for the love of sweet baby Jesus, I'm putting you in gymnastics. And I was like, okay, works for me. And it was just one of those things that it's always challenged me, and I never got bored or sick of it. And so it just stuck. Wow.
And when you started, I mean, you at 8, first off, you probably were with all these other little 5-year-olds, right? You were. But when was it that you guys realized that you had a talent for that was beyond maybe the rest of the kids in the class?
Honestly, when I started gymnastics, it was just for the love of the sport. I didn't have any aspirations to be an Olympian, or the Olympics didn't really even cross my mind, to be perfectly honest. And then it probably didn't hit home until my coaches, Mihai and Sylvia Brushton, came over from Romania, and they picked a group of athletes to work with. And I was like a mediocre level 2 or 4 or something there, like real low in the totem pole. And they picked a group of kids they wanted to work with, and I happened to be one of them. And I remember the owner of the gym at the time was like, why her? She's a hot mess. Like, she can't compete. She's like, got some bad habits. And my coach looked at him and goes, she'll be the best one out of all of them.
And you were.
Lo and behold, here we are.
You know, and the great thing, and I love this about you, you were so loyal to them. They stayed with you right through your career.
they're like a second set of parents, and I couldn't envision myself doing gymnastics and, pursuing my goals with anybody else. And I was supposed to go to UCLA. I had, I think I even signed my letter of intent. So that made things real difficult. But the coach at the time was fantastic. She's like, look, if you're going to pursue your dream of going to the Olympics, I'm not going to get in the way of that. And so it just felt right to do with them. And we had been through all the highs and lows together, and they knew me best. So it was, I think, the best move I could do for my career. And then when I decided to go back again in 2012, because I just couldn't get enough, apparently, it was a seamless transition. I was a little bit older. I had a little more control of my career and training then, and he was just there for guidance. So it worked out well.
It feels like to me, in the world of gymnastics, and this is very much like in the world of broadcasting, you need somebody on your team who's all about you, because it's a brutal world. And it just feels like to me that that's who they were for you, on the side of the gym.
Definitely. Having a support system, your family, your coaches who honestly do believe in you is something that can propel you forward on the days where you don't believe in yourself. And I think every elite level athlete goes through that, and they struggle, and they're trying to decide if they're still wanting to do this path, because it is lonely, it is intense, it's grueling, it's all the commitments that you have to make and sacrifices you're going to be giving up. And you need somebody who's in your corner, without a doubt, like when you're not in your own corner, like you need to know that they're there for you. And so between my parents and my coaches, I couldn't have a better group of people who were, rooting me on.
We're going to talk more about your career, and obviously we're going to talk about this current team here in just a second. But talk to me a little bit about the sacrifice. I mean, you had to be in the gym when other kids were out hanging at the mall, or they were at dances and you were overseas somewhere. So talk about some of the sacrifice. And do you feel like you missed a childhood?
I think I had a very different childhood. My husband and I, we joke about this. He's like, you didn't have a normal upbringing. You don't count when we're, comparing like what we should be doing with our kids. I'm like, okay, fair. But
he's also an athlete. So he's also an athlete. It wasn't like he was, yeah.
And for him to say it was still not normal, I'm like,
right.
Maybe it really wasn't that, that normal. But it was a lot of hours in the gym growing up. I mean, I was there 6 days a week. 6 to 7 hours a day. And that was a lot. I missed out on family events, birthday parties, like all the, recreational things that kind of come with growing up. And then as I got older, I actually made the decision to continue in public school when a lot of my teammates and stuff had gone to homeschooling or some sort of private school that would be more accommodating. And I'm really glad that I did that, because it still gave me a little bit of a sense of normalcy. Whereas, I may have missed some school dances because I was at world championships, but I got to see the world at a young age, and I was like so lucky for that opportunity. And yes, I missed out on some, normal things, but I got to experience some abnormal things that were pretty awesome. Yeah,
absolutely. And for those who are listening and watching, you may not know, but you're a Winchester native. I mean, you grew up here in the area, so you're a hometown girl. Would you ever let your kids do that?
If my kids were passionate about something, I'm not going to stand in their way from preventing them to do that. Do I want them to do gymnastics? I think they're going to be a little too tall. My husband's 6'4" and I'm 5'1", so I was hoping that there'd be a little bit taller in the genetics for them, but they all actually do it right now, just because they like it. They also think that they know more than their gymnastics coach, which is a little bit tough. They're like, my mom says that's not how you do it. I'm like, please don't tell your coach that's what I said.
Yeah, they've learned it all by osmosis because you're their mom. That's good enough. Yeah, Alicia, a mother of
gymnastics, you may be like, I don't know if it's genetic.
Yeah, right. She's a mother of four little ones. Your oldest, Sloan. How old is Sloan?
She will be 8 in August.
Oh, goodness gracious. That's hard to believe. Alicia, let's talk a little bit about your personal career. As you said, when was the first time you went to your first major elite, meet, if you will, and you won something?
Oh, gosh. Won something? That was my first big competition that I won was in 2004, and it was a World Cup finals. And so in gymnastics, you can do the all around, or you can be an individual event specialist. And so if you are an event specialist, you get a certain amount of points at each competition you compete in. And if you have a certain amount of points, then you can go to this competition called the World Cup Finals. Mm-hmm. And so I had qualified to that, and I had won vault there. And that was the first time I ever really won a big international competition. And that kind of sparked my real drive to want to go for that 2008 Olympics. I had tried for 2004, but I was just turned 16 and I still had a lot of growing to do in my gymnastics. So that had really kind of lit the fire. And then the next year I had won world championships on the floor exercise.
Yeah. You in total 11 world championships, is that correct? Do I have that number right?
I went to 5 world championships and I won 11 medals.
Yeah, 11 medals, which is absolutely incredible. You also were the first woman gymnast since the early 80s to full-time be an NCAA athlete and compete on that level, as well as elite gymnastics. You went to Brown during that time period from 2004 to 8 when you went to the Olympics. You went to Brown and competed for the NCAA and were preparing for, of course, trials again to get back into the Olympics.
Yeah, so I graduated high school in 2006, and I was at Brown from 2006 to 2008. And then my Olympics fell, so I took a personal leave to train for that. So I competed for them my freshman year and then went to world championships. And then I actually had knee surgery after that. So I volunteered coach and gave up my eligibility to help pay for gymnastics because I was paying for school and training. And at the time you couldn't take prize money or endorsement money because NIL wasn't a thing back then. So I still stay involved with the team and would go to their competitions and help them train. And if I needed to get some hours in the gym, I'd go train there as well. So it was a loaded schedule.
Yeah.
Kept me out of trouble for the most part, which was good too. So I think people were happy about that.
Well, it's just such a physical grind. I mean, that's the part that I think is amazing. I know you've had your share of injuries. Certainly, you just said you had knee surgery. I know you had an Achilles issue at one point. I know you've had wrist issues. But that was tough.
It was a lot. So I was Brown, or Providence, Rhode Island, is about 60 miles from the gym where I was training in Burlington. And so I would be doing that drive 2 times a day, occasionally, depending if I had class in the morning, I'd sleep at school, go to class, go to practice, go back for evening class or study hall, or vice versa. If I had training in the morning, I'd stay at my parents' house, go to practice, drive to school, go to class, come back, do the afternoon workout. So it was a lot. It was that time commitment. I really was very limited with my social ability to go out, and I couldn't divide myself. I really had to just kind of focus. And that's when I made the decision. I was like, you know what, let's just take this personal leave so I can really make the commitment that I wanted to make to gymnastics at the point. And then I was like, I can go back and finish school later.
Yeah, absolutely. Unbelievable. Tell me about going to Beijing.
Beijing was crazy. You know, for us and our generation of gymnasts, it was very much a business trip. You go in, you get the job done, get out, you go back home. So there was not a ton of time for, socializing or even seeing the sights, but we did have a day or two here and there where we got to see our family and kind of go around China a bit. But it was intense. It was this building moment that you had for your whole life and your whole career. You're building, and then it's over in a blink of an eye, and you're like, well, dang, that went by relatively quick after all these years of trying to get there. But it was a great learning experience. I didn't have the best competition. Honestly, it was probably one of my worst competitions, if I'm going to be blunt. But it taught me a lot about myself, and I think it helped me become a better gymnast. After I took some time off, I learned from the mistakes I had made in my training and my preparation, just how to take care of myself better. So when I decided to go for another Olympics in 2012, the road was a lot easier. It was a little more seamless. I knew what I was doing. I knew what to expect. I made the changes that I hadn't done in 2008, and I just felt happier and healthier, which was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that it wasn't maybe your best competition when you went to Beijing, but, despite maybe what happened in the gym, I know that you were the captain, and you continued to be a leader of that team no matter what. You kept your spirits high and you fought hard. So there's so much more to be said about that when life is, when life in the athletic world is over. I feel confident that's what's brought you to where you are today, which is what I want to talk about and about this team here in just one second. But before we do, We do this thing. It's called Fast Five. It's like a rapid fire, fast, answer questions thing. So I've put my glasses on so I can see it, and I want to just ask you a few of these and see what you have to say about it. Okay. All right, terrific. All right. Again, this is Alicia Sacramone Quinn, for those of you who did not catch her name, and she is a fabulous Massachusetts native who is an Olympic champion, a world champion, and is a woman who now has lots to say about USA Gymnastics, the women's program. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But first, here is our Focus Technology Fast Five. All right, Alicia, if you could participate in an Olympic sport, but it would not be gymnastics, what would it be?
Track and field.
Would there be a particular race?
I'm really into the pole vaulting. They actually tried to get me to pole vault at Brown when I was there doing gymnastics. Like, you're a gymnast, you could probably figure this out. And it does look a lot of fun. So I think that would be the avenue I would try.
I love that. Favorite memory growing up in Winchester?
Going to the Anka Fair every year with my family was always so much fun. And it was just like something that sticks out in my memory.
Who was your gymnastic idol when you were growing up?
Growing up, the whole 96 Olympic team was who I just idolized and wanted to be like.
Yeah. Can you name us one of those athletes so it puts all of us there? That was Los Angeles, right? No. I'm sorry. That was
Dominique Dawes, Dominique Luciano, Harry Strug, J.C. Phelps, Amanda Borden, and Amy Chow.
Absolutely. Okay. You were a cover girl, model, and spokesperson. What was that experience like?
I don't think we really appreciated it when we were in that moment of how epic that was for any adolescent girl or woman. But it was super cool. It was awesome to have that platform and support and have the support of such a great company with Procter & Gamble and CoverGirl. So it was really special.
And what are you hoping for when it comes to this team this year?
This team has faced a lot of adversities getting up to this point. Each athlete has had their own journey that has been difficult. And I just want them to go and compete and be healthy and happy. Honestly, like if they go out and do their personal best, that will be what's best for Team USA.
There you go. And that's our Fast Five. Great job. Good answers, let me tell you. Let's talk about this team a little bit. You guys named them about 2.5 weeks ago in Minneapolis. Run through the names.
So our Olympic team for 2024 is Simone Biles, Jordan Childs, Sunisa Lee, Hesley Rivera, and Jade Carey.
Hesley is the only one who's never been to an Olympics. Talk a little bit about her.
I feel like each Olympic team always has one young upcomer who kind of sneaks into that one of those spots. And this year it's Hesley, and she did an absolute phenomenal job at Olympic trials. And she was a very talented junior. And there's always usually a transition period when you go from the junior level to senior level where you kind of fall off. And her coaches have handled her perfectly and really just kind of pushed her to keep climbing that peak and gave her a lot of stuff to handle initially, and then tapered her back. And she was just right where she needed to be at the trials. And she, earned that spot fair and square.
Let's talk about Simone because, of course, the world will be watching her. Obviously, she pulled out of the last Olympics, mental health issues. Where is she now?
Simone is back like she hasn't missed a beat. I think she took some time to just, after an Olympics or any type of intense competition, like you need a beat. And so she took some time to herself and, decided that she wanted to give it another go and have it go more in her own terms. And she honestly is one of the hardest workers I've ever witnessed. She does her job. She's efficient. She leads by example. We're really honored to have her back. And I'm excited to see her compete at this Olympic Games because the last 2021 Olympics was not a real Olympics. The COVID Olympics was awful for all athletes and parties involved. And for them to be able to make another team, to be able to actually experience what this type of community can actually feel like is going to be really special for this group. I
know that you said that this team has had its own issues. And of course, we all know the issues of Simone and some of the things that she has dealt with. But Suni had some problems as well, did she not? She had health issues, right? Had to pull out for a while?
She had some health issues, and she's on the mend, which is great, and they have everything under control. But at one point, she didn't think she'd be able to do high-level gymnastics again. So for her, this is such a huge accomplishment. And I'm really proud of the grit she's shown and determination to get back to being in the top shape, to be a top competitor. And it shows a lot about their character. And I think that's important. Having a team filled of young women with good character is something that I pride Team USA about, because, it's easy to find athletes who are just all about themselves and don't care really about the big picture. But all of these athletes care about each other, which is really special.
Yeah. I want to go back real quickly here about the mental health issue for athletes. Talk to me a little bit about that and how you feel about it.
Gymnastics is a sport based on judging, so it's subjective, right? How well you do is based upon the opinion of somebody else who's not doing it. Mm-hmm. And that mentally alone is very wearing, because you think you did a fantastic job and you see your score and the judge doesn't agree. So that plays games with you in your mind. And, the older you get, the more you realize how dangerous gymnastics actually is. If something goes wrong, you don't, catch yourself in the air, like, you can really get hurt doing this sport. So when you're younger, you're a little bit more carefree. You're not thinking about consequences as much. But the older you get, the more you're like, man, I could really hurt myself today if I'm having an off day. So that the mental aspect of that, knowing you need to be on point, you need to be like ready to go for practice, you need to be rested. Like, all these things play into a factor, and it doesn't help that you have to wear a leotard and you're going to be on TV and like not a lot of clothes, and people and social media are just brutal, and they feel like they can say anything they want to say because, they're faceless behind some username. So it's just a lot of different avenues that put so much pressure on these athletes to do well and to be the best and to be everything that people think they should be. And sometimes, like, you may just have a bad day, or you may just, there's so many different things that could go wrong or right with what you're doing. And I think it's just the public eye has made the mental aspect of this sport that much more, it's more focused on now, because people understand that, like, it's not just the pressure you're putting on yourself now, it's the pressure you're feeling from society.
Absolutely.
To deliver.
Yeah. So you are headed to Paris with the team. And so everybody understands, you were one of three, another former gymnast as well, and then a gentleman who joined the three of you to choose this team. You went from 16, I think it was, right, to this team of 5. Now you're headed to Paris with them. You, as a former Olympian, I would think that you're going to really stick close to these girls and make sure they're okay, because you know what they're going through.
So one of my teammates from the Beijing Olympics, Chelsea Memo, is there's 3 of us that are the high performance leaders. So she's she's the second. And then Dan Baker, who I've known for a very long time as well, he is with our developmental program. So he's helping bring up our future generations. We are the high performance leaders, and we have been working with Team USA for the last 2 years now, trying to help shape our culture and make the changes that we felt like were important to get our team to where they needed to be, and kind of modernize and stay current with proper nutrition and training and rest and recovery. And so we've been working really hard on that. And then our athlete selection committee is who picked our Olympic team, which I'm a part of. And then we have 2 other people. One is a athlete representative, and our third member she's a former judge, works with the International Gymnastics Committee and for the FIG. So she's very well respected and knowledgeable. And Chelsea and I will be the 2 going over with the team. I'm with the reserve athletes, keeping them prepared in case anyone from our main team gets injured or has to go down, that somebody will be ready to step in. So being a former athlete, you kind of have an idea of what to expect. Granted, 90% of them have been to an Olympics before, so they know what to expect too. But it's about being an advocate for them. Like, sometimes there are things that will come up that they maybe won't feel comfortable addressing or handling. So that's where Chelsea and I would step in and kind of handle that for them and have everything kind of planned out. Logistics are taken care of. So we're just there to make sure everything runs smoothly.
Fantastic. Well, they're lucky to have you. That is for certain. And let me ask you, after the Olympics are over, what's next for you?
Well, I think I'm going to go into hibernation for a little bit after the Olympics and just try to spend some time with my family.
Yeah.
Football season starts relatively quickly after that. So just trying to get that time in with my husband and my kids before his season starts and my season gets to wind down just a bit.
You bet. Well, listen, Alicia Sacramone Quinn, what a delight. It's always so just great to connect with you, and I wish you the best of luck. Have a great trip to Paris and bring us home some gold medals. How about that?
Thank you so much. We will do our best. I appreciate the time today.
Absolutely. See you very soon.
Yeah.
You're listening to Kerrigan and Company. Longer days that melt into warm summer nights. It's my favorite time of year. You know, I love to spend time on my patio with family and friends or just curled up in a chair with a good book. However, you can't read or entertain in the dark. That's where my friends at Lucia Lighting and Design come in. Whether you're changing fixtures to enhance the beauty of your property or thinking about safety and security, the experts at Lucia Lighting will help you find the perfect outdoor lighting for you. Get started by scrolling through their website at lucialighting.com and then make an appointment to visit their magnificent showroom located in Lynn, Massachusetts.
If you like rum, you're going to love Rumson's Rum, New England's most award-winning rum brand. Rumson creates distinctive and savory flavor profiles by hand-selecting and marrying the finest barrel-aged Caribbean rums. The spirits are then blended and finished in the New England Rum House. Choose from Rumson's Gold, Spiced, Grand Reserve, or Coffee Rum, which is smooth and sweet with a warm roasted coffee flavor, a hint of vanilla, and a decadent buttery finish. Find Rumson's at liquor stores or ask for it at your favorite restaurant. Learn more at rumsons.com. That's rumsons.com. Rumsons. Life lived, life enjoyed.
This segment of Kerrigan and Company is brought to you by Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater. Get your tickets to Frozen, running now through July 28th at nsmt.org. Welcome back, everybody, to Kerrigan and Company, brought to us today by A&B Burger. It's so great to have you with us as we continue this conversation about the Olympics. Just so thrilled to have Alicia on. It's great to just see her because I've known her, as we mentioned, for so long. But even more importantly, it's really great to hear the inside scoop on what it's all about to be an Olympic athlete. You know, what sacrifice, what an amazing journey she's been on, and now watching these young women who are getting ready for the Olympics and the journey that they're on. Now, something that's really interesting is that they obviously always have on these phenomenal leotards that everybody wishes that they could own, you know, especially every little girl in this country who is tumbling somewhere. And you wonder where those come from in the designs. Well, we happen to know, and joining us now is the design director at GK Elite. That's a company responsible for these Olympic uniforms. And we are thrilled to have Jeannie Diaz with us. And Jeannie, it's great to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. How'd you get into designing uniforms, you personally?
So I have always loved gymnastics. It's been my favorite sport. Fell in love with it watching the 1996 Magnificent Seven. Dominique Moceanu has always been my favorite athlete. Loved her. And then I was born to be a designer. I have never considered another career path. My grandmothers inspired me when I was a little girl, and I just combined my two passions in the best company that happens to be in my backyard. So it all fell into place for me.
There you go. It doesn't work any better than that, that's for certain. Now, do you guys only do gymnastics, or do you do skating too, ice skating? I think of them as sort of being the same.
So in our past, we did do ice skating, but currently, and for the past couple decades, we have really done gymnastics, cheerleading, and swim, actually.
Awesome. That's great. And you do, by the way, not just women's. You guys do men's as well, but you just happen to be doing this Olympic teams, the women, correct?
Yeah, we're doing actually both the men and the women's team, which we have outfitted officially since the year 2000. So many, many years of experience in both men's and women's gymnastics. And super proud to outfit the team.
Jeannie, that's so cool. So when you sit down and you start thinking about, okay, we need to put together, and Alicia was telling me that they have chosen 8 for the women, there are 8 different leotards, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. But when you sit down to design those, I mean, what are you thinking about? What do you do?
So I have a team of designers, but we think about, first and foremost, how the athlete is going to feel the most confident walking onto that competition floor. So we put the athletes first. We want to think about, how do they want to represent Team USA? How do they want to look? So with this specific Olympics, we had the unique opportunity to really tie in the host city. Paris is the fashion capital of the world. So what a great way, a great stage, obviously the Olympic stage, to showcase this as a fashion show, really, while still showing up unmistakably as Team USA.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so let's walk through, and we're going to be showing for our viewing audience, but we want to walk through so that those who are not viewing this but are listening can sort of understand what some of these uniforms. So tell me which one is your favorite leotard and what it looks like.
Yeah. So my favorite leotard is the team final leotard. Okay. So this one really represents the flag in the most overt way possible. So it's an asymmetric look. It has one sleeve is the navy with the navy blue stars, and the other sleeve has the red and white stripes with the red and white coming down, cascading down the body, and this design was really meant to represent 2 things. One, we talked about the 1996 Magnificent Seven. So they were the first women's team to win team gold, the pioneers. So we wanted to really pay homage to that and let this current team kind of take a piece of that 1996 magic with them onto the floor. But additionally, the design is meant to evoke that feeling of an athlete receiving the American flag from, let's say, a spectator in the stands, and wrapping it around themselves after they win a medal. So that just really emotional moment is what this design was meant to represent. And I want the athletes to walk out onto the floor with that feeling and that power behind them.
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture of it right now, the rendering, and it's beautiful. It's really pretty. And it does look, that was the first thing I thought. It looks like, maybe we see, some, like you said, someone come out of the stands and wrap a flag around the athlete. It's great. One of the things we want to mention is that all of these will be available in replicas for young ladies to own as well at some point here, I'm sure, right after the Olympics, correct?
Well, actually, right before the Olympics.
Oh, terrific.
So that's amazing. So every little girl across the country, across the world can buy these replicas and wear them at the same time that our U.S. team is out there, and they can match Simone, they can match Suni, Jade, Jordan, and Hesley, which is just such an incredible opportunity.
Yeah, it sure is. So as I look at some of the other designs, and again, there are 8 designs in total, I believe. Tell me, pick another one that you love that I don't see. There's a little, here's another one that's red. I was going to say some of them are these beautiful blues and whites, which is really cool.
Yeah. So really the all red one that you mentioned, this one's really unique. USA Gymnastics, Team USA, they love to have a power red, on both the men's and women's side. But so this women's particular leotard, we drew inspiration from the fact that Paris is the city of lights. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to play on that concept of light. So we sourced a stretch satin that we're using exclusively for the Olympics. We had it custom dyed the red color that we wanted. And we paired that with a matte red to really play on that matte shine texture contrast. And in stripping down to only one color, we were really able to play up the design features. So there's a lot going on in the leotard. There's some asymmetry, there's texture play, there's really intricate jewel motifs going on. There's stars within the sublimation on the sleeves. There's a high neck. So there's a lot going on for a red leotard.
Yes. I mean, it's fantastic. That is beautiful. And then I want to ask you about, first off, I think it's really interesting. You have a number of them that are high necked, which is really cool. And then a few that are cut. But there is one here. It's the Sovereign Sparkle Competition Leotard. That to me looks like that is really beautiful. Tell me a little bit more about that one.
That one also was inspired by Paris being the city of lights.
Right.
But also the American tie-in there is the firework aspect. So it has this really encrusted one shoulder, and also incorporated within that jewel motif are shaped crystals from Swarovski. So they are these like bigger teardrop shapes that really reflect the light and just help reinforce that firework motif.
I got to tell you, they are beautiful. And what a highlight of these Olympics. It's going to be very exciting to see these beautiful, beautiful leotards that you have designed. We are so happy that you could be a part of the show to share with us what they represent. I certainly can see the City of Lights in all of these. So it's really unique, and you're a beautiful designer. So, Jeannie, thank you so very much. And again, for people who would like to buy replicas, they can find those now, you say?
Yes, they can find them on gkelite.com, and we're so, so excited.
Great. Jeannie Diaz, thank you so much for being part of the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet. And we'll be right back. This is Kerrigan & Company.
Prepare to let it go at North Shore Music Theater's magical production of Disney's Frozen live on stage at Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater, now through July 28th. Tickets at nsmt.org.
Summer's a great time of year. Lots of outdoor activities that are tons of fun, but it can also be tough on your skin. Between the sweat, the sunscreen, salt water, and heat, skin takes a beating. And that's why I'm suggesting that you book a free consultation with the team at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly. Sienna offers the latest technology in skincare. The medically trained staff will help you determine the best treatment for your skin that'll make you feel like $1 million during the summer months and for the whole year. Whether it's a great relaxing facial, Botox injections, or fillers, you'll leave Sienna looking and feeling your best. I should know. I'm a customer. Set up your free consultation today. Go to siennaaesthetics.com. That's siennaaesthetics.com. Tell them Kim sent you. This segment of Kerrigan & Company is brought to you by Sienna Aesthetics Medical Spa. Take years off your face with the very latest technologies at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly. Welcome back, everybody, to Kerrigan & Company. It's that time when we wrap things up, and wow.
Unbelievable. Wow is right.
Yeah. Alicia is an incredibly impressive young woman. She really is. She's 36 years old. She doesn't mind you saying, because it's public knowledge. 36 years old, and she has accomplished more than most people can accomplish in a lifetime.
Oh, absolutely.
And now in for this second part of her life, which is, guiding these young athletes, and then, of course, being a terrific mom and wife. So I'm excited for her for this Olympics. I think she's probably got a long future with USA Gymnastics, should she choose to stay with them.
Oh, yeah.
And that's an organization, Dave, and we didn't really get into this with Alicia, but that's an organization that has faced some real issues, and they needed young women like her to step in and sort of revamp that organization and save its public reputation.
Oh, absolutely. They got hit hard, and it's absolutely people like Alicia and those other gymnasts that have stepped up and said, that's not what we want to be known for. We want to be known for our incredible athleticism and what they're bringing to the table.
And I loved that line that she said, this is a team of these are selfless athletes. These are athletes who want to help each other and want to look good for the country. So I think that's what we all sort of hope when we sit down to flip on the TV and watch the Olympics, that's what we're going to see, is gymnasts who have an appreciation for where they're from.
I'm going to go start practicing my tumbling now.
Are you?
I am.
I'm going to order one of those leotards and see if I look just like those athletes do.
You have to take pictures.
Not. So great to have everybody with us. Be sure you follow us on social, everybody, and we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Kerrigan and Company. To find out who will keep me company and be my co-host on the next episode, be sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. Kerrigan and Company is recorded at the Big Night Studios at the TD Garden in Boston. You can view the podcast on YouTube and listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure you tell a friend. The executive producer of Kerrigan and Company is David Thompson. Our engineer is Peter Hurley, and our social media managers are Grace Kerrigan, Colby Thompson, and Riley Thompson. See you next time.